We named Zaire, Zaire, which means great things will flow from him. Zaire is full of life, love. He is very brave and kind. He's a silly child.
Very silly child.
He's very, very energetic. You know, he's your average 3-year-old. He loves Play-Doh and dinosaurs and planets and blocks, jumping off things, rolling around in the dirt, bringing home pine cones and bugs.
Being a typical 3-year-old boy.
Yeah. I guess before this, we are typically like a spontaneous type family. We travel a lot, we get up and go a lot. I mean, that kind of stopped with COVID, but we like to get up and go. We like to do things on the weekends, be outside, be around friends and family. So now that a lot of that has changed.
Having Zaire was, first of all, it was pure joy for me, having that son that I always wanted. And him growing up, he's always been, again, so energetic, so loving.
You have all these big dreams for your child, and Zaire has always been so healthy, so I never anticipated that he would have any kind of like medical issues. And for us, and especially for me, I think that was like the shocking part, that it just kind of came out of nowhere. So Zaire's first seizure happened on a Sunday morning. We had just finished breakfast and he was sitting at the countertop in the stool, and he almost just totally zoned out. I was trying to get his attention. He wasn't looking at me. It was very bizarre, very strange. I didn't know what was happening. So I'm like, Zaire, Zaire, and he's just gone. That lasted maybe a minute. Right after that, he came to and he went right to sleep. Later on, we found out that was his first seizure, which is called an absence seizure.
And for us, we actually thought that he had just maybe had like an allergic reaction, because when he did come to, he said his throat was itching. So we just thought he had maybe had an allergic reaction to something, because he did go right to sleep right after that and took a pretty good nap. So his Zaire's second seizure happened at school. I actually dropped him off at daycare at around 8 a.m. And I would say about 15 minutes later, they called Kira saying that Zaire had a seizure.
So Zaire was in the hospital for about 3 days. Yeah, we were there for about 3 days getting all kinds of testing, all the tests that you can imagine. And all of the initial tests were coming back normal. But because they had the seizure on video, we
showed the video to the neurologist. And then she decided
to keep him overnight.
The activity that they saw on that overnight EEG is what would kind of confirm the diagnosis of epilepsy.
Zaire is only 3. He can't articulate what he's feeling or how it feels to have a seizure, what's going on before, during, after. He can't articulate that to us. So for me, I was afraid for him, I was scared, and I was frustrated because we didn't know what was happening to him. And the good thing was we had some answer as far as, okay, you know, he is having seizures, you know, he does have epilepsy, but it was more like, okay, what now?
So as of right now, what we're doing to kind of deal with Zaire and the seizures that he's having, he's currently on anti-seizure medication. We could also have a seizure action plan that we have in place at school, here at home, and then all of our immediate family who live close by. We've all kind of got them up to date on what that seizure action plan is.
We've also did some research and found out about different video monitors that we could put in place for him. We have security cameras already, which are really great. And we ended up purchasing something called the SAMI sleep activity monitor, which monitors Zaire when he sleeps.
So it monitors your typical movements throughout the night. If there's ever a case where he's moving more than what is considered typical or normal. Obviously, when he's having a seizure, his body's doing a lot more movement than a regular turnover. So that will do a couple of things. It will send an alarm to us to let us know that he's moving a lot more than normal, as well as it will record that specific instance, just so we can have additional data to show to the doctor, so we can kind of help with the plan of action moving forward. So when Kira is at work, you know, she's and at times she's gone 2 days 3 days, depends on where her schedule is like. But for me, I'm working from home, so I'm home the majority of the day, and I'm working from my computers downstairs in the office. If there's ever a case where Zaire has to stay home, which is happened now a couple of times, where he's had to be home because there was a bug at school, things like that. Things happen. So if he's home, I have to have all my monitors up. I'm working with along with an iPad that I have all the camera screens on, so I can keep an eye on him, on what room he's in, just to make sure again he's okay while I'm trying to get work done. Trying to work and watch Zaire, it is not easy, especially considering the kind of work that I do. It's basically looking on these monitors, 3 monitors at times. Mentally, it is overwhelming at times, to be honest. I think the challenge comes in when Kira's at work. Is the real challenge for me is at nighttime, when it's time to go to sleep and we've been through the day and now we've laid him down. I find myself just wanting to be awake all the time, because just the uncertainty of if the Wi-Fi cuts out on the camera, that alarm might not go off. Or if there's a power outage, the alarm might not go off. So I'm constantly waking up to look at the camera to make sure it's still working.
So when it's time for me to go to bed, I'm looking at the security cameras, even though I could be thousands of miles away. The concern that you have, especially at nighttime. I feel like nighttime is the most dangerous time for people who have epilepsy. If he were to have a seizure in his bed and we didn't know it, he could literally suffocate and die.
I feel like that's been the challenge for us, is knowing that he's, physically seeing him go through a seizure. It's overwhelming for us as parents to watch him go through it. Yeah. And I think the part for me is that unknown of, what's he going through? Because another thing that we know is that every time he comes through after the seizure, he immediately goes into crying, and it's almost like I'm in physical pain crying.
It feels like someone is about to snatch the rug from under you and you're just free falling. When I'm waiting for him to have a seizure, it's always like I'm on edge, like I'm anticipating when it's going to happen or if it's going to happen. And as soon as that rug gets snatched out, we're just free falling, because there's nothing we can do. When we're watching him have a seizure for 4 minutes and 39 seconds, all we can do is watch him and just wait until it's over. And so for us, it's that feeling of like helplessness, of not really being able to help him, and just having to let him go through it and then be there to support him when it's over. So what we would like to do is get Zaire a seizure assistance dog. There are a couple different types of service dogs that assist people who have seizures. Specifically, what we're looking at is a seizure assistance dog. The dog will position himself in a way to support Zaire when he's having a seizure so he doesn't hurt himself. The dog will be trained to also call 911 or call me or Adrian when he has a seizure. The dog is also trained to retrieve his emergency medicine while he's having a seizure, and then the dog will alert someone for help if he needs help. The benefit for Zaire in having a seizure assistance dog is that he will have support, he will have confidence, he will have independence, and most of all, he will be safe. This dog will allow him to live a completely full life, and it'll be a layer of protection essentially for Zaire. So he can move around freely and do things that he wants to do.
He can go see his cousin.
He can go to the grocery store. He can go to the park without having us be so worried if we're not there. The dog will just be this extra layer for Zaire. So the financial aspect of the seizure assistance dog is the total price of the dog is $25,000. We are required to put down a $7,500 deposit. Once we put down that deposit, it takes about 2 to 8 weeks for us to be matched with a dog that meets Zaire's needs. Then they will narrow down the pool to about 3 different dogs and decide which of these 3 dogs will meet Zaire's needs the best. The training is very extensive, and the training is about 6 months to a year. While we're waiting for this training to complete, we'll be paying the balance of the $25K to purchase the dog. Right now, basically, we are asking for your help. This is not a small feat. This is not a cheap dog. It's going to take a lot of resources to make this happen, but we would love your support. This would be an amazing resource for Zaire and for our family as a whole. It'll keep Zaire safe and it'll give us a lot of peace of mind. So we'd love if you give us a donation to help us purchase this dog. No donation is too small, and we appreciate all of your love and support and prayers as we've been going through this new journey with Zaire.